and that'll be good. That'll be totally good.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I hope you don't. I don't hope you don't mind the title. What did I say? Fiction Fools Live, something
No,
like that.
I think it's pretty accurate, so I'm not gonna quibble with you.
Oh, I hope I didn't make this too hot because I was like, oh, I gotta be able to sip it. Well, you sound crystal clear. Do I sound okay? I think I figured out the sound problem.
Yeah, you sound good to me. What was the issue, just in case that I
It,
ever run into something similar?
well, it's just our phones. It's the kind of microphone. I think our phones do a three. It's
Oh.
I can't remember the type of microphone that it's called, but it's circular. It's trying to pick up everything, right, instead of focused. And so, if you're in a room where the walls are too close, your voice is echoing. So that's what I realized, that I was always in a see right now, like I showed you my office, it's, a narrow file room. So I'm focusing my voice at the far wall. I tried it this morning, tested, and just turned towards my screen, and it sounded like I was in a closet. I was like, oh,
Wild.
that maybe that's it. Everything else, I've got like my, what is it? Yeah, so I got my mics and things over here, and that
Just
I
plug
can.
them into your phone.
No. I mean, I tried doing that, but then it picks up the the echo more intensely. I was like, no, we'll
Yeah.
just use a phone. I'm not doing earbuds. I'm not doing anything. We'll just let it be the phone because you sound clear. So,
Oh, thank you. I think these. I've been really happy with these. I use the Power Beats.
cool.
What do you call them? So they seem to work. And I think I tried. What is it? I have some friends on Discord that occasionally I'll leave like voice memos for, and when I don't use these, it like sounds like I have a lisp, which I just don't know how to get rid of. So anyway, this is the way to go.
That works.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, Zachary, and who else we got? We got Zachary. We got Robert. Good morning, guys.
Morning, crew.
So,
Thanks for
yeah.
being here without any warning whatsoever. Preparation.
we Scoot, we should have done this a while ago. This is how many months has it been since we've talked, though?
I think it was like January. Was it January?
No, I think was it?
February then. It could have been early February.
No, I thought it was the end of last year, wasn't it? I'm gonna look.
I mean, I know we did talk in December, but didn't we? Man, you're right.
I'm looking at it.
I've had a busy Q1, so
I know. Well, you've had a busy Q1, but also you were prepping to move. When did you move?
beginning of March.
Okay.
So that was like yeah.
I'm gonna look on my thingamajigger.
That's right. It was December because right after, like, you were giving me a preview of this Fiction Hub space, and like we tried it, and I was on, and like I was like, man, this is really exciting. Then literally the next day, I try to turn on my computer, and it is bricked, and it is so like I had to wait until I got here to be able to work with my friend and see if he could help because he's always got some kind of um, like tool or jigger or whatever. Like so he was able to open up my laptop. We pulled out the hard drive. We got a tool to be able to plug it in and try and read it. Nothing. The thing is gone. So
well, you are definitely right in that. Our 2x2. Yeah, because I called it 2x2. I get to meet Scoot. That was February 4th. So you're right. It's
February 4th. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I know that it had been like 6 or 7 months of trying to, everyone that I know that I liked already knew you. I'm like, how come I'm not bumping into this guy, this fear? And I think what was the last straw? The last straw, I think, was really motivated. It was totally a mystery, but I saw it when I said no, and I really, really got to meet this guy. I think it was the interview with John Ward. I mean, how long ago was that? I was looking at I talked with him yesterday, and so we did that on the hub. John's a great guy. He's not. I mentioned. I says, so next time we do this, I created this whole studio. I'm going to say this. It might embarrass you. I hope it does, just a little. That the studio, the studio hub, that artwork. I designed it so that I could interview and talk with you, and then everyone else was like, and they'll have fun too. But I was like, why can't I visit with Scoot for a while? So I do that, and then we couldn't do it.
I know,
But
but I'm definitely I'm lined up. I've been figuring out how to like what computer to get and how to set it up and all that.
awesome.
I'm like right there. I just got to pull the trigger basically. So thanks for
Well,
your
that's
patience. I'm
good.
sorry that like
So,
this just is like a weird comedy of errors.
it's life. There's no reason to apologize. I'm just, the thing is that this right here, we could have done this old. This is why I'm
Yeah.
going. Why didn't we just go back to live? I'm trying to do something different than live. But there's one thing I think, nothing's going to beat live with Substack, and that is the ability to do this on the fly
Oh
and for
yeah.
us to communicate from our phones. This is freaking awesome. The hub doesn't beat this, not even close. That's for trying to do things in mass. And as we get our communities closer together and interacting with them, I mean, this you can't get into a room, theme it the way you want, and for you and I to sit down and talk with like 100 of our people at the same time. That's a different
Yeah.
level. That's a different tool. But
It's a
this
different
is
yeah. But it's going to be a great tool once we get that once we start kind of really getting into the swing of things with that. Like the potential remains unlimited. It's really the error for me is between the keyboard and the chair.
yeah. Oh, oh my gosh, my chest. Excuse me. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you this morning about is I don't know if you want to reveal any ideas if we want to brainstorm out loud of the things we want to use it for. Because
Sure.
have you tried to go in? I know that it still works on your phones if you take your phone and you do it horizontal. You can get in there. You still don't have all the features that you do with with the laptop or with the desktop, but you can still go into visit to interact. But have you tried going into the Welcome Cafe? It's like it's almost 80% built now, and it has background sound. So
Oh
from my
man.
podcasts, from I took the cafe sounds that I use, the background on my podcast, and Lisa helped me embed them into the the hub. And it's
That's
like,
really
this is
cool.
so nice. And you can control the volume. So while we're sitting here, you have that nice, it's like someone's in the room. I love that.
Yeah.
Good
The,
morning,
what
Camille.
what
Good morning, Michael.
what you do to mess with folks is you just like you sit there, you're talking, you're having a great time, and since you kind of control everything, you just slowly turn the volume up by one at like every couple seconds, and then everyone's like, "Why am I shouting?"
I wish I could do that. Actually, you cannot do that.
No,
That's
not
one
yet.
of the good, well, it's one of the good features of Go Brunch. For everyone that's wondering, that's the name of the platform that we're talking about. I just call it the hub because we're theming it the world. But no, one of the great features is that you, as the user, and everyone that's in the room, they control their own experience in the room. So I make the embed, and even when I turn up the volume, it'll play, and I can hear it, but you will not hear it. So I
That's really
did
cool.
set it, the coding is set for it to be very, very soft, and the sound is turned off because I don't want to assume that everyone wants to hear it. But when you do find out, all you got to do is just click on the sound and it's already just a faint. It's like, oh, it's actually kind of nice.
Yeah,
So,
I'm looking forward to checking that out. I haven't. I think the last time I tried looking on my phone was kind of earlier in the process, and before I had
yeah,
moved and all of that. So I'm gonna have to look at it again and kind of get all that up and running. Familiarize myself so that once I do get my laptop, I can hit the ground running.
it'll be fun. It'll be way fun. So I'm just adding layers of detail to it. And over the
Awesome.
last few interviews, I've learned how much I can do for my guests, which made me really excited. I told I totally screwed up yesterday with John. I was like, I only we talked for like an hour and 20 minutes, something like that. And at the very end, I had to look at the screen and says, "This is all my fault. I screwed up. I'm sorry." Because I made it private so that he could come in and get the seat right next to me, right before I
Right.
let everyone else in. So I unlocked the door and I forgot I made the room private. So him and I are there, and I'm getting these direct messages that I don't pay attention to because I'm interviewing John, right? And it's like, I why can't I get it? Why does it say I need a password? And I'm like, oh crap! I'm so sorry.
That's all
It's like,
right. Brutal. I mean, that's a lesson learned, and just man, the humor value in being like, man, I got this great setup. I'm going to talk to John, and you and John talking for an hour, and like John's probably thinking like, hey, you. You said there were going to be people, right?
It's the best setup that no one gets to see. It's just
Yeah.
But the point was is I spent the time doing the code so that I drew the little picture of a little thing that sits under his chair that says subscribe and an arrow pointing to him, and I coded it so that people could come in and click on that and sign up to a Substack, but nobody could get in. So I was like, John, I'm gonna put a button on the post so people can go to your Substack. I was like, you idiot. So
These things happen, man. That's funny though. Talking about comedy of errors.
Okay, so people are coming in and good morning, Michael. How do you get so I touched this and it put the list up. How do you get the list to go away? I don't want you guys to go away. I just want to drop it to see Scoot's face.
So if you tap like the little space where it's fading out, there's like an invisible kind of bar that if you tap the invisible bar, it'll go up, and you tap it again, it'll go down. It's kind of finicky because you can't see it, but it does exist.
Okay, apparently it only goes so far because there's only so many people in the room.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm guessing.
Huh. If the chat feed was blown up, then that would be another thing entirely. But I think that's the like I've got it minimized. It only showing Michael joined and Camille joined.
Yeah. Well, I am interested. So how did for anyone who didn't know, you moved, and I've been really wanting to hear how the move went because sure is beautiful behind you.
No, thank you. It's so I was living in South Carolina before, and I moved back to my home state of Virginia. And I can't tell you how nice it is to be kind of like back home. You know, it's I'm driving around places and I don't have to use a GPS, and like I'm close to people that I've known for my whole life, and it's been a really good move. So the right decision at the right time.
I've never been to Virginia, but I've got siblings, especially my baby sister, and her and her husband. They said as soon as the kids have all, moved out and gone off, their whole, retirement goal and everything is to move to Virginia and just retire there. Because they just said it's the most beautiful state they've ever been in. I guess the wilderness out there is just uncanny.
It's amazing. My grandparents used to live in the Shenandoah Valley, like the Appalachians, the Blue Ridge Mountains, and all of that. So that was just like a regular occurrence. We had whole family would gather for Thanksgivings in the Shenandoah Valley, and so I kind of took for granted just how beautiful it is out there. But then having moved away and life and not really getting out there very much, I'm like, man, what am I missing? I'm missing like just that old Virginia nature. So I'm glad to be back and closer to it.
Well, I'm glad too. What made you? Was it work that made you move before? Or?
It was a kind of mix of factors, kind of complicated to explain, but like I guess the short version is family. Like I have some family in South Carolina, and still have family in South Carolina, so it's not like I'm kind of ditching them entirely, but just my own life circumstances. It's like this is the right move for me. So.
Totally get it. I had no idea that I was going to end up where I was. My family all moved to Utah, and I'm in California. And, they're like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Hell no." I love my life here. Of what I was doing. This is before everything went bad crap crazy. Where I live, I am not. If you're from California, do you? I'm just saying. I live like 20 minutes from Lake Tahoe, which that is still one of my favorite places to, go out on the lake and all that. And anyway, yeah. And my parents moved up here, and there was a family emergency, and there was a home invader, and came in and attacked my 3 baby sisters. And my dad just called me in the middle of the night. He says, "Hey, son, this happened." And I've always been the bulldog, and he's like, "Would you please come and visit with?" I was like, "Dad, before the conversation's over, I'm like, I'm on the first Greyhound. I just shoved everything into an army bag, and I'm driving up there. And for like 3 weeks, I remember going down at the bottom. They had a condo. They were looking for a house. They had a condo, and I'm down at the bottom of the stairs, and I opened all the windows to my siblings' rooms. I had them sleep in the family room for 3 weeks. I slept at the bottom of the stairs with a baseball bat in a sleeping bag, and every night praying to God, "Please, Father, please send it back so I can have a little chat." So didn't come back. He did come back a year later. And me and my brother almost got him, but then I almost got beat beat up by a mob of the fathers in the condominium complex.
Oh, good grief.
Because he got caught looking into our bathroom. My mom comes down, frantic in tears, saying someone was looking in the bathroom. My brother was home from college. I just got off work. I used to do graveyard shifts. So I'm getting ready for bed. I literally am like trying to get into my pajamas, trying to find my pajamas. I'm standing there. I'm in my boxers, right? So it's me and my brother. We're about ready to go to sleep. He's in his pajamas. I can't find my pajamas. I'm in my boxers. I'm like, he's gonna get away. And so my brother says, well, you go around the back way because there's no lights along, the back of the condos. So you try to go that way. I'll go around the front. We'll just, we'll cut him off. So I went out back. Oh, he saw me and he starts booking. So I'm running down this condominium complex that doesn't have fences. All the backyards are all together, right? And I have no idea what I was thinking. I was like 19, I think. So I'm booking as fast as I can, just in my skivvies, running, trying to catch this guy who jumped on a bike. And of course he got away, but I'm like, oh, I'm heaving. I'm like, oh, I turn around to go back to the house, and there's all these dads standing there. And none of them know me. Oh, that was bad. They were gonna lynch me. They grabbed me, they roughed me up, and I was like, oh, my brother's like standing behind, and he's like, oh, he's like, I'm out of here. I'm like, you coward. You coward. Anyway, and it was one of the ladies, one of the guys, his wife that saved me. She knew who I was, as I work graveyard, but I've always been kids, the big brother, the whole bit, the cartoonist. And so I work graveyards cleaning places, and then during the day I would sleep by the poolside and just, swim and sleep because we were just crowded looking for a house. And anyway, my sister was their nanny. So she's like, no, this is Kelly's brother. And her husband's like, what? She's the guy that cleans, I work for 7-Eleven, for crying out loud. I'm just a kid, and he's the one that, gives the kids the change to buy sodas at the pool. He's like, what are you running around in your underwear for? I was like, I was trying to catch the guy in the back. And he got caught 2 nights later at another condo on the other side of the complex. And I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
So
the only regret is that it wasn't you who got him.
Yeah. My dad a year previous got to beat the hell out of him. My dad was an ex-boxer.
Oh, wow.
And I remember my sisters ran up and they're crying and screaming. My dad jumps out of bed. He goes down and he checks the first room. No sign of anybody. Checks the second room. No sign of anybody. Goes into the bathroom. And there's no windows in the bathroom. It's in the basement. The only room left was like a room like this. It was the file room. And he opens it, and the file room was empty. He never used it. So it was clean and new carpet and everything. And my dad was telling me, he says, I turned off the hallway light. He says, I opened the door, I slid in behind, I closed the door, I locked it. He says, I just need you to know, he says, you brought this on yourself. He says, I'm going to beat you. And my mom said, I've never heard, my dad's a little guy. He's a little guy. And I've been hit once by my father. I'm a big cootie. And that hurt like hell. That's the hardest I've ever been hit, with the exception of one person. I'm not going to tell who that is. Anyway, but my mom said, I heard your father roar like a bear. He beat that guy, had big glasses. He'd shatter the glasses into his face and the whole bit. And I guess the guy got one really good solid shot and hit my dad in the throat. Rolled my dad off, ran through the bedroom, my sister's bedroom. They came in and jumped up the window well, and they found a 6.5-inch strip of skin from his back on the shingle. Yeah, I know this is not really the story we wanted to have this morning. Coffee and skin. No, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, sorry.
Life is crazy. The moral of the story being that life takes you crazy places.
Yeah, the moral of the story, there's a reason why my Substack is called Life of Fiction. Everyone thinks that this stuff is all made up. No, this stuff happens all the time. So, yeah. Anyway, the moral of the story is don't go into people's houses when it's not yours.
Yeah.
Moron. Yeah. I've had people break into my home when I was a husband and a father. Oh, hell no. That was bad experiences for them. So I've had my wife pull me back going, call the police. Why? He's right there. She's like, Jamie Buckley, call the police. Fine. Call the police. The police. And I remember having one cop, he's a Hispanic gentleman. He just, wow. It's like Mighty Mouse. He was so short, but so buff. And he's like, he was so pissed off. I guess this is a guy that had been chasing all morning for like 6 hours. He kept trying to break in. And by the way, to the guy's defense, wasn't his fault. Actually, he was a heavily medicated older kid that had not had his medication. So he was wanting the whole time when they finally got him, when they tried to cuff him, all he asked was, "Does anyone know where my mom is?" So he had been wandering for miles, couldn't remember where he lived, where his mom was, and his mom was the one that reported to the cops saying, "I lost my son. He hasn't had his I need to find my son." Anyway, the
Wow.
cop looks at me and goes, "Are you gonna press charges?" I was like, well, I guess so. God, somebody's doing it. I'll get you the paperwork. I was like, wow, high strung. So, well, since we're going on, I'm ranting on cop stuff. Let me tell you another story.
All right.
This is more funny. So I'm a cartoonist. You know that, right? This is back when I was making comic books. And in our area, I don't know if they have this in Virginia. Do they have like neighborhoods where they build like little tiny central parks around the neighborhood for people to go to? I don't know if they do that in your state.
Yeah. Depends on the neighborhood. I mean, not all of them have that, but some of them have there's like little playgrounds and things.
Yeah. Okay. So in my state, it's like every little housing community. They'll have these little tiny. They're not very big. They're maybe an acre, and so they'll have grass. They'll do a little pavilion type thing for two or three benches, and it's usually just for you know for these neighborhood folks. So I would go to mine during the spring and the summer because my wife's homeschooling the kids. And so I would go there and just enjoy the weather and draw cartoons. I'd sit there with a cup of coffee and the whole bit. Anyway, and I remember watching these two kids jumping the fence of the junior high school and booking down the street. So these truant kids. So these cops are following these kids. They catch the kids, and the cop car goes past me, stops, slowly backs up, and this cop gets out. The guy had to be great big black guy, like 6'4", just wow. Basketball player on just wow. I haven't seen a guy that big. And he came over, and I'm like, I love the police. One of my best friends is a cop. So he comes over, and he's just hovering over my table. I've got all my comics with my little paperweights to keep the wind from blowing. But I've got my ink and my pencil out, and I'm just enjoying the morning, right? And he just stands there, and I said, "Hello, officer." I says, "Can I do something for you?" And he just glares at me and he says, "You look suspicious." I was like, "What? You you look suspicious. I'm sitting here drawing pictures." "Yeah, that doesn't look right." And I looked at him, and something in my brain was like, so I looked at him and went, "Oh well." And I went back to drawing. Second cop pulls up another car. Another guy. Where do these basketball players come from? But the guy looked like, oh, what's the character? Andy Griffith. What was the son's name? Was it Opie? Is it Opie? I don't
I
remember.
can't remember.
The
Yeah.
little kid, but imagine him at like 6'6". He had the red hair and the freckles, and again, well defined. He'd not want to go against these cops, but the flat top and the whole bit. And he's like, problem, and whatever the guy's name was. He goes, "This guy looks suspicious." Then the white guy just started laughing, and I said, "I live right around the corner. My wife homeschools. I'm here to enjoy the weather and do my work outside. Why? Because my office has no windows." It's a pattern, Steve. It's a pattern. Anyway, but I just thought that was so weird when he's like, "Well, you look suspicious." And I'm like, Oh well.
Yeah.
Anyways, drag him off, saying, "Dude, leave him alone." I don't know. Maybe I have "arrest me" on my forehead. I don't. I have no idea. So
There's suspicious and there's unusual. Sometimes they're the same, but sometimes they're not.
probably be me. That would probably be me. Or I'm sarcastic. Did you see the video that I told of the speeding ticket? I'll have to
Oh,
send I'll have to send you a link this story with my friend when we went up to the you know, I've I've never gotten a ticket. Never gotten a ticket, so speeding and I still didn't get a ticket. But my buddy who's sitting in the passenger seat, it's his card, he got a ticket. He's like, "Wait, what?"
yeah,
But
that's incredible.
yeah, oh my goodness. Hey, I'm rambling already. I need to wake up. So, fiction. See, you got it
I'm still
too. Am I
yeah.
giving it to you through the live session?
No, I'm on the tail end. I had like a cold a couple weeks ago, and it always takes me forever to like get rid of the cough. But anyway, sorry about that. That's
Oh my goodness, is that there's like pneumonia going on around here.
yeah.
It's
Well,
just
some people have the flu and all that. It's I'm counting myself lucky. I can I'm breathing.
well, let me ask you this. With the
All right.
with the with the fiction hub, I'm curious, what could we do with it? What could we do to really mingle and have fun with our communities?
So I have an idea, and I mentioned kind of a hint of it before. And I don't know, like this is. Let me throw it at you and let's talk because I'm open to
Okay.
anything really.
Okay.
Um, 2023 was the first year I started writing gibberish, and 20 so and so in the summer of 2023, I hosted the gibberish writing competition. The
Okay.
idea was that I want to find small, like fiction writers, up and coming people who are, just getting started, haven't don't have the recognition because they're kind of early in the process, but they're otherwise fantastic writers and deserve to be recognized for that. So
Cool.
like I set the limit as like, all right, if you have less than 200 subscribers, apply to join the gibberish writing competition. I'll pick 5 people. We'll write 3 stories to 3 prompts, and I'll provide feedback with like a rubric and scoring and all of that. Like, do it up like a competition. I had been watching like a cooking show from Australia at the time. So I was like, what if we did this for fiction? So
Oh,
like that's kind
that'll
of the
apply
model.
to that'll apply to words.
Yeah. So it's I did it. I did it. It was fine. It's like 2023 was good. We did it again in 2024. I love the model. Gibberish writing competition. It's like I heard from someone a couple months ago where like they were looking forward to trying to apply for the gibberish writing competition in 2025. This is really the first time I've talked about it publicly for 2025. Good things about it are that I love getting people and like giving feedback on the fiction and trying to help improve craft and trying to highlight some of the smaller writers that are amazing that are kind of working the grind and hustle. But some bad things about it, like reviewing and like judging and scoring is such a difficult thing because it is not easy. Like writing is just not an objective science. You can't say, well, this is a 10 and this one's a 5 because like there's different virtues to everything and like different people have different styles. And so I've got a lot of, I always ask for feedback from the participants at the end. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from them from both years. But what I was thinking about for this year was switching it from competition to like workshop or something like that, like teach
Okay.
classes or something. So that like maybe not classes, but like take a small cohort of people and try to take the scoring rubric that I would use for the previous years of the competition, but make it like a little loosey goosey, not competitive, but like I want to help you improve your craft so that you can go and do something else. So Fiction Hub would be great for that because it's kind of it would be private and a little offsite. It would allow the kind of talking and kind of the working. It would allow a little more like you can't do that over live. And I hosted it previously by just like having a series of posts and emailing people, and it just wasn't. And that was all I think before they hadn't launched or I guess it was like the DMs were new, so I didn't leverage
Okay.
that tremendously. But like you can't get everybody in the same room in the same way.
Oh,
So that's kind of that's where my head's at. I think the future of the gibberish writing competition is the gibberish writing class or something like camp, boot camp or something like that.
so
But
you need to
yeah,
make your little school then, or a little convention center. Does that sound so? Would it be more like panels? Would that instead of a class thing?
I think it would be like uh maybe panels. So like me there as kind of host, I think guests to come in would be really cool to have that option. And then a cohort of like no more than 10 people to come in and like everyone's, I would, I haven't thought about like the particulars of how to do this, but maybe like get everyone to bring a story with them that they want to work on or start from zero, or maybe I even give a prompt or something. And like, all right, let's all work on this story together and talk about the elements of craft. And like over the course of a couple days or a couple sessions or whatever, we would go
Mhm.
through like a list of like craft elements and everyone would write and then I could read and give some feedback, something like that. I'm not, I'm open to suggestions, but like that's kind of what I'm envisioning. So it'd be like a classroom. We'd have like someone, like you would have a host, you would have a guest, and you would have um, students, for lack of a better term, and maybe even like people can jump around, right? People can move to a different spot.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if we're talking about someone's story, like for everyone to for the edification of everyone in the room, they could jump to that kind of like host seat and or the guest seat, and then like, all right, let's go
Mhm.
through this story together. Maybe have the screen up or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
How's that strike you?
I think that sounds like fun. So the basic concept so that you can start to frame your idea in this. So how I had it explained to me, I got to meet Richard, who is the owner and developed the software, and I did a couple meetings with him. What a delightful man! So nice and so enthusiastic about his whole purpose was making Go Brunch so that we could be doing this in real time and people don't have to be alone. So it really came out during COVID, right?
Oh yeah.
So the cool thing is that if you imagine that we can make an office building, and then in that office building we can do offices or rooms. So that's the basic structure. So the other thing is too is that you can also these things will be open 24/7 365. Some rooms you can lock if you want. Some rooms you can password protect if you want. You can change the password at any given time. But if you want to do, classes or a convention or anything like that, you can not only have the meeting rooms, you can also do break off rooms. And you
Oh,
can assign people to do the break off rooms. So like if you're talking about, okay, if we're doing whether it's classes or a talk or maybe there's people that are sharing their various stories and doing readings. Now you probably want I would probably want to do that at different times so that some people are not ignored. Um but yeah, so you have lots of options that way. And then we can theme it whatever way you want. That's what's awesome. And I know
yeah,
there's a
that's really
lot
cool.
most of the people that I've met, they use AI to frame it, and I draw all my stuff, but some of the stuff that I've seen with AI, mind blowing. DW, whoa! I asked him to, I asked him to make some stuff because I wanted to make a room for him, and I said, "Would you do something the steampunk?" Because I bought a bunch of this book. I was like, "Would you do a?" Wow, he made a I can't remember if it was a coffee house or a restaurant. That was one of the prettiest things I've ever seen an AI make, and it looks so freaking real. And we could put a round camera on every single. He got the right angle down like this. You could put a camera on every single seat in that restaurant. It was amazing. So you could have like sit in his picture. You could have like 60 people in the room, and just enjoy conversation. So yeah, the
Yeah,
potential is fantastic.
that's really cool. Like there's a being able to get a ton of people in a room like that and the interaction. I think that's another key distinction between that and Substack Live. So like, I mean, let me share another idea for you because like I think we talked about this
Yeah.
too. Being able, like I would love, again, we're talking pie in the sky. There's a lot of
Mhm.
practical problems to solve, but like just talking about wish list stuff here. We could do like a true like Substack fiction convention online and kind of show the number of people that are willing to show up, show like have various speakers, do all kinds of things. We could do all like so you have a ton of people in the room, you have maybe a keynote, you can have like a workshop, you could have like the breakout rooms for people to like share feedback on their fiction, like impromptu critique groups or something, like a craft of fiction centered what do you call it, like workshop, and like it, just all the elements, and like what are the best parts of fiction, what's the like the Substack strategy angle, you talk about all of this stuff, but like it would allow be like not just having two people talking, but having a crowd of people. It would like help cement that cohesion of the Substack fiction community, which is multifaceted. It's huge, it's enormous, and everyone has a different way they use it. You had an idea. I saw the spark. What's going on?
I was like, okay, so I haven't been, I love conventions. Like, right, I've only been to, well, there's two writing conventions, and one that I went to like 4 years in a row. Have you ever heard of Life, the Universe, and Everything?
Yeah, the like Douglas Adams, the what do you call it?
Well,
Hitchhiker's
yeah,
Guide.
well, it's a, I think it's one of the older writing conventions. It's in Provo, Utah every year. They've been doing it for like 40 something years now, maybe longer. I think it's in the 40 years. Anyway, and I found out about it from my friend David Farland. Anyway, and I don't know. Have you been to writing conventions where they've got a room? They always have a room where like the authors can have their own booths and sell their books. I forgot what that's called. Anyway, but it seems to be like at every convention. You go to a gaming convention, there's always booths where they can sell their games and so forth. Well, that's the other thing that I've learned, and it worked because I did do an interview, and we can take pictures of or create cartoon versions of the various books that they have, and we can create a room and have these little booths where all these they can talk and have their camera to talk to people, but they actually have on their table their books, and you click on them and their links to go to Amazon or wherever they want to sell their books. Because
That's
I did
amazing.
that with one of my world building, and while we were doing the interview, someone said, "Wow, I can get a hardback version of this too." I was like, "Yeah!" It just blew my mind that somebody actually was clicking. The other thing too that's great is whether you are selling a book, or maybe giving something away, so they're downloading something that you're giving the class. The cool thing is that anytime that you go off screen, it takes the room that you're in and makes a little window right next to it with the cameras, so and it keeps it on top, so you never miss the conversation that's going on. You don't leave the room, it stays right there, so everyone's still engaged. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
amazing.
another perk. I did find out that the next one of the next things on Go Brunch, on their, what do they call it, the roadmap that they're developing. So they will be doing a membership. And I talked with Richard and said, well, I want to connect it to Life of Fiction. And he says, you will be able to input names or emails into this, and then you can have sections. So think about, I'm building my fictional world, and I've got this little map on my whiteboard here on the wall of all these rooms that I want to do, that as I build sections of my serial fiction, I will create rooms, and I'm going to draw that in such a way, all of it black and white, so you don't know what's a link and what's not. You got to figure out the clues to figure out how to go from place to place to place to place. But I will add those in, and I will be able to take people that are paid subscribers, input them in, and they will be the only ones that have access to certain rooms. So it
That's really cool.
automatically allows us to give more to our subscribers and tier them how they are. But this is where it empowers your idea, because if we end up doing a convention, or say you do want to do, a school or a class or something else, that allows people to sign up, even if they're not part of, a gibberish. They can still come to this and sign up and pay there and have access to that there. It's an independent thing. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, no,
So,
absolutely. like the goal is to make it as expansive as possible so that we have some wide reach and we have the ability to let people that it doesn't have to be directly tied to the Substack, like Substack insofar as I'm not, let me put it this way. I'm not speaking very well. You don't have to be a paid subscriber to Gibberish to be able to participate in Gibberish writing competition or camp or whatever.
I figured that's what you're saying. Yes. So yeah, and I want to use it as more. When I saw it, I just wanted to use it to add value, just more value, and to tier things, because I do have already, like I said, the Welcome Cafe that's open publicly all the time, so you can go in there and have exchanges and talk with people. So I've been making it in layers. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Do you have I mean you I mean this as a compliment. You kind of have like yourself set up as like a talk show host, because you got you have a circuit of people coming in, and you got your kind of in your welcome space for being able to talk to folks. Like, what's another way that you're thinking of using this space? What's part of your master plan here?
For me, it is when I saw it, and it's funny because my community bought it for me. I didn't buy it. And I was like, why? And they're like, well, with what you're doing with Life of Fiction, we want to see what you're going to do with it, because, I'm a cartoonist at heart and doing comic books and then writing fiction novels for 20 something years now. And I thought, wow, I could actually go back and theme all these areas and literally take people into my world, very specific places, and do that. And then I thought, because this is all about, for me, and I asked my community and they agreed, this is all about experiencing. So for example, I asked, I said, so what's the next project you guys want me to work on while I continue on with the stories? Because those are going to continue, right? They said, well, can we take the serial stories? Can we make a game? Okay, what kind of game? And they said, let's make an RPG. I was like, okay, I haven't done that before, but okay, let's do that. I love role-playing games, right? And so we started doing that. And then I started getting direct messages saying, hey, can we get together in the hub and work on this outside? We've got a lot of interaction in the comments on the articles, but can we sit down and actually talk, just live?
Working session.
And during this time, I found out 2 of the members of my community actually lived in my state and didn't live far away. And we actually got together for breakfast twice.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Cool people. In fact, one of them just won the March Madness, which you said you were going to do.
I know.
Ooh.
I'm still going to write it. I still got the idea cooking.
Well, you won't win.
I know. Unbelievable.
Anyway, so but one of those guys said, hey, can we do this? So I was like, what could I do? Well, in the story, there's different council rooms. So I was like, I made a world, or I'm working on it right now. I got the rough sketches of a world building room that it looks like one of the ancient areas of my world, where not quite a temple, but but you've got magic and light coming down through the top into this globe, this floating sphere that has a hammer over it, representing building aspects of the world. But it's this gorgeous stone round table that has 12 to 15 seats around it, and I mean, I'm really decking this out with detail, right? So it's going to be black and white, but all those seats have a camera. And so when we come into the room, when we are thinking of how to build the game, everyone will take a seat in there. So, and then we discuss it out loud. And I was like, well, that's cool. And then, people want to know how I did a magic room. And it's funny because now in my opinion, it's the least impressive room. It's the one that I built first, was the one with the chalkboard and floating. I showed it to you, right? The floating out in space. It has no walls and everything. I was like, I like that, but it's not really my world. It was just a concept, which I enjoy, but now I'm just really drawn to doing my actual world. And then I just let people in according to who they are in my community. And of course, people who support me so I can, keep the lights on and keep doing this, they get get to go further into the world. And I just keep building it. I keep making it, keep theming it and connecting it. That's the fun part. So
that's really cool.
I can't wait to do. I want to do a sound studio for BB Wing. My gnome. I mean, I released a musical album for him, and it's like, let's do more. So, yeah, I'm just. It's all about experiences for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a good way of looking at it too, because I think that's being fiction writers. I think we can get very laser focused on the words, but this is really helping you expand the senses. It's not just what we're reading, it's the sounds, it's the sights, it's, I guess you can't really do the smells, but to send people bags of the coffee or whatever. and
We've done that.
yeah, see, there you go. So there's like it's a multi-sensory, multimedia kind of experience, and it's like just you can really enhance the immersion. So I think that's really cool. Is there what let me ask you this. What is an idea, or what's like a use for this Go Brunch that you think, like, we haven't, that what's a use that we haven't talked about yet? What's something that we don't even realize how cool it could be, that we haven't even, like, we don't know what we don't know, kind of thing?
Okay, so here's what I think would be great, and so far I've not figured out how to make this work. It started with live and started with you. Okay. So this is not a knock on you. This is you inspired me. So this is all
Excellent.
positive. Okay.
All right.
So remember when we first did this, like, hey, this 2x2 that Anne created, I love it. I still think it's the best. Right. And then who was it with? I think I was with DW, and then while we're doing this, I'm looking at my computer. I was like, wait, someone had 3 people. Well, when the hell did that happen? So he's like, wait, you can do 3? Or maybe he knew and I didn't. But I was just blown away. I was like, wait, we can have a third person? Yeah. Well, let's pull a third person in just off the cuff and see what happens. Like, well, I don't know who I could invite. And I was like, well, this is all Anne's fault anyway. Let's pull Anne in. So, and she'll still laugh about this. She's a little bit embarrassed, but it's like, like, you like this, you invite the person. So it's ringing. He's like, I don't think she's there. I was like, I'm pretty sure she's there. So she picks it up and she can't connect because she had washed off for the day and she had lotion on her hands. So she couldn't press the buttons. And she's like, I can't. And then she had a bad internet connection and it just became comedy hour. It was so great because she's one of my favorite people. But it's funny, she's trying to interact. And I thought, okay, so Substack Live can do up to 3. With the hub, the difference here is we got 13 people in the room right now watching. They can listen. They can do the whole heart thing right here. They can send a message, but they're not there live. We have the opportunity, if we want, and we can mix the levels of how we want to engage and interact with people. But we can construct a room. And my thought was, these interviews and these conversations, for me, as when I'm on the other end and I'm watching these, they inspire me. I'm so excited to be here. So I'm going to pretend that people are half as enthusiastic as I am. I want to watch more of these and interact and ask questions. In the hub, or with Go Brunch, because anybody can do this, but in the hub, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do something that Substack Live can't do, and I was going to call it Live times 2. Is I have a stage, and my son helped me because I don't understand AI, to make a color realistic looking stage with 7 leather chairs. So I would sit in the middle. and I'd have 3 guests on one side, 3 guests on the other. I want to be the moderator, but then we can put as many people at live cameras in the room with us that we can so we have a conversation going on. I would love to come up with questions and ask everyone and just go for 2 hours and talk. And then I can unmute people that want to ask questions. They can ask them live, have that recorded, and let the people hear those questions as well as typing them in. So we can do the level of engagement. So having these conversations all these things that I'm doing, it's practice hoping to get to that. Because I think I still I still remember the idea you and I were talking about with the cartoons. Remember about not letting the pros get in on this? This is why I wanted to go. Do you remember that? Yeah. I haven't told anyone. I'm going to say this live now because I did get that footprint in first. So I like the idea of the elevator going, no, like Patterson, no. You have to take the stairs. This is just for the younger authors, And we had this conversation. I think I had it with Anne and with Coomer. I was like, I love my authors, the people that I'm a fan of, and I'm still going to buy their books, and they sell millions of books. I don't give a crap that they're on Substack. That means less than nothing to me. I don't listen to anything. I don't follow them. I don't. Why? For what? I'm not going to have a conversation with them. And I'm also not going to fight someone who is so bent on wanting to meet them and talk to them. Maybe they do get a chance to do it. Oh, and that'll make their day. I don't give a crap. I like them because they write wonderful stories. I'm going to buy their books regardless. Go away. You shouldn't be on Substack. I think Substack is for people like you and me. That's just what I think. What do they bring to the platform? They do bring value. You know why? Because they bring their readers over here, and then their readers find us. So thank you. Other than that, I don't care that they're here. It doesn't make any difference to what we're doing. I want to interact. Even some of my friends that have 3 to 8 to 12,000 people, I can still have this kind of a conversation with them and with their community. That's priceless. Really, that's priceless.
Well, and like there's a level of scale where once you get to a certain size, or maybe if you come here once you're already at a certain size, it's just another platform that you have to maintain for marketing purposes. So for us, it's really great to start from the point where we are engaging directly with our community. So when we do get big or whatever, God willing, we already have that connection with our audience, and they're coming with us.
Yes. And see, that's the thing. It's what is that? I'll pay you a compliment. Don't let it go to your head. I want it exploding on camera. You are one of the smartest guys I've met in years and years. Well, no, when we talk about concepts off these films and stuff, and some of the things that I bring up that I've been thinking about, and then you take it in like 10, 12 different directions, like, wow, well, that was a hell of a thing. That was a good idea. But what is it? Someone did see. I don't follow the trends or the marketing-ish people. I've just always just written my stories, and I've just always been blessed and sold enough, and I make enough for my needs, and I just go from there. But I've heard a lot lately on Substack of what if you have 1,000 super fans, dedicated super fans, you can make a living, and I get that concept. Well, think about it on Substack. We can still, I believe, take Simon K. Jones, for example.
He might be in here.
Simon, are you in here? If you're in here, then say something. But I think Simon K. Jones is a really good example. First of all, he's a good individual. He's one of the first. Actually, he is. He's the first person that I followed and paid for his Substack that. How can I put this? That didn't disappoint. That I'm still there. I'm still a fan. I'm sorry. The first I paid for a few Substacks, and I was like, "Oh, I love this individual," and then, ew, just their character turned out to not be what I thought. They weren't kind. There are a few of them that just didn't give a damn about their community, their subscribers. They just wanted money and attention. And I'm like, all right, well, it won't be me. But Simon's genuine. So Simon has, I'm just guessing, I thought he has like close to 8,000 people, something like that, 8,000. And yet you see, we're always going to have those percentages of lurkers, depending upon the subject. I'm a lurker. Like I do not comment on politics, but once in a while I'm like, what's going on? I do a little, snooping, then I'm like, okay, I've had enough of my brain overload. But we have lurkers, but his community interacts, and we'll have the people that we interact. So if I've got super fans that have followed me over to Substack. They almost never comment. So I know they're there and they're super fans. So in this community and on this platform, and also with the hub, we could have not just 1,000, you could have 3, 4, 6, 8,000 still interacting with everyone. And that just sounds like a writer's utopia to me.
Absolutely. Well, and like one of the things that, or I guess let me put it this way, the mindset that I take to my subscribers, my audience, it's hard to talk about them as a collective because it's like it's a bunch of individual people who are like interested for their own individual reasons. But like they like it's not true that only the paid subscribers are the super fans.
I totally agree.
Yeah, because all like, and we have the ability with Substack to be able to engage with all of our with the followers, the subscribers, and then the paid subscribers too, and treat them all the same. And like, I've had people who have signed up for a paid subscription who've been following Gibberish for basically 2 years, and like, I don't know what it is that made them like sign up suddenly, but I like to think that it's because I've kept them on the line for 2 years and like, don't treat them like dirt. I try not to anyway. And then suddenly it becomes worth it to them. So it's like it's one of those things where like everyone that is in our circle is a future paying subscriber maybe, but we just treat them all like human beings and treat them all like super fans, and who knows where we'll go. There's so much potential, and it's not necessarily a matter of strategy. It's so much more like Substack, like the model of Substack lends itself to being about just being a decent human being and letting people see what kind of person you are.
That's a perfect description. So I can even clarify it even further. It's that you say you don't know. So I had a conversation with a member of my community, an individual who followed me to Substack and has been from the very first hour. Because I was this. Oh, you were the one. You were the one on. I was watching you with John Ward. You were making the comment of when to turn on subscriptions. And I came to Substack with the belief that because I did the Ko-Fi or coffee, however you pronounce it, and it's still on there, that I wanted to make it. Actually, it was someone from World Anvil, a friend of mine from Germany. He's like, why don't you have donations on? I was like, what? Why don't you have donations on? Why can't I buy you a cup of coffee? I was like, but I didn't give you anything. He says, that's not the point. The point is I want to support you, not a product. And he says, you're kind of an ass for not turning that on. I was like, ow. And he says, and I said, okay. And then we're on Discord. And like 10 minutes later, you still haven't turned it on. I was like, okay. I turned it on and immediately I got like 3 or 4 cups of coffee. And I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. But here's the thing. So I asked my what do you call him? My reader, my friend. I asked my friend why, and she says because I'm going to buy everything you write, everything you publish, and I'm going to support you as long as I possibly can because I just want you to keep going. So here's the thing. Scoot, I think you're a very gifted writer. I love the things that you do. You know that I am a dedicated follower of gibberish. I love you are the first person ever to get me involved in flash fiction. Never done it before.
That's a win.
Loving it. Loving it. Okay. Or I should say, sorry, Hoban's loving it. So um I love working through my fictional characters. It's just fun. I can detach myself, but it's like, all right. But the reason why I'm here is 100% for you. That's the value you bring is you. That's what makes things different. Talking to one of my other readers, I mentioned that I watched one of the lives of one of these international best-selling authors that came to this platform. she, she we were in GoBrunch, we were in the hub. She just came unhinged, and I was like, "What is going on?" She says, "He's such an ass." And I was like, "What? Whoa, whoa! Why are you saying that?" She goes, and he was just going on and saying, "Yeah, I love Substack because I'm finally able to say the things I wanted to say without my publicist." And she says,
Mhm.
"Yeah, you ass." She says, "There's a reason why you have a publicist. You make a jackass out of yourself." I was like, "Wow, where did that come from?" She's like, "He's not a nice person." I was like, "Okay." She goes, "He just needs to go away." See, are they gonna? And yet, that's still gonna draw certain personalities. It's still going to, but it's this kind of sorry. You should have seen her face. She was so beside herself. I can't stand that man. Okay,
That
okay.
is so funny.
But these are the experiences that we can have and continue on. And if it continues to grow, we keep being real with people. That's all we can do. It is going to get to the point where you can't pay personal attention to everyone, but you can take turns and reach out and do things to make yourself more accessible. And I love this does a great job. I honestly now that I've used the hub and used Go Brunch, and it's still one of my favorite tools. I don't think anything is gonna take the place of this, the live. This is really one of the coolest tools, and I think Substack really outdid themselves. This is a fantastic way to do things. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I'm excited. I wanna know what kind of theme you would want for your contest. About that?
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Like gibberish really, like the name gibberish really keeps it open. I have not thought about that. I'm gonna have to chew on that because I think like there's so much potential. It'd be so fun to have some fun with it. Like
I mean, do you or have you considered using AI for artwork on things? And are you one of the people that's for or against? I see uses for it. I mean, for artwork, they're like, well, whoa, what about it drawing for you? I was like, I've never been worried. I've never, and my son has had to show me how to use some stuff. I'm a simpleton that way, but I see value in it.
yeah, I
So,
like I like I try to stay pretty agnostic about AI because like there are some like I think it's best used as like a force multiplier. So like if I'm doing the same kind of task, then AI can learn that task and make it faster or something like that. But I'm not as much a fan of using it for like art because there's so many great artists out there who want to help you create some vision. Like the drawings that you're making for life or for the fiction hub cannot be made by AI. There's not a chance. You've got like this some kind of je ne sais quoi about it. You know what it is that your vision is. AI can't do that. AI can make something that looks maybe like yours, but it's not going to have the heart. It's not going to have like the soul behind it.
yeah, and the
So,
purpose, right, right,
yeah.
yeah.
So I tend to think I tend to prefer human made wherever I can. But I'm not going to plant my flag and say never. I just if I can then if I can use a person then I will. If I can't then I'll think about AI. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. I mean, I even told people, and there were some of my readers that actually turned around and they got their own Go Brunch platform. I was like, good on you, because they have. I don't know if I told you this, and I actually don't think that I did. They've got a, what's that platform called? Is it AppSumo? It's a
I feel like I've
platform
heard of
where
that.
they do. I'll figure it out and I'll put it. If anyone know, does anyone here know? Is it like AppSumo where they do like lifetime things for all sorts of apps and things like that? Maybe someone here knows. I think it is. Anyway, I have the link because that's where I bought it through. But they do like lifetime deals, and Go Brunch you can get like, for you, more than you would ever use. It's like $79 or $89 forever for a lifetime. You could own your own Go Brunch. Yeah, so it's like, so I'm telling people, I just want them to succeed. I want more people to know about Go Brunch and see what we could do. I want the fiction community to dominate Substack, not politics. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. I want happiness and joy and mystery and, yeah. I think it'd be fun.
If we get a fiction cartel together and start planning like a conference or something, that would be.
I love it. Let's create something called the Fiction Cartel. Let's do that. Let's get some of us together and let's just plot and have ways to get all of us together and to do things together. Do it until people can get their own Go Brunch platform. I'm willing to contribute mine. So it's just, let's make this work and get our community to grow. I want readers to have more access. I love your idea on doing a contest to give exposure, because really that's really our only problem, and that's what really pissed me off with Google. Because when I started back in 2005, I remember when, if you looked up Wanted Hero, looked up my name, the first 75 to 100 pages on Google were just me, because I had thousands of articles and seeds everywhere. And then all of a sudden one day someone beat me, and I'm like, how is that even possible on my name and on my creation? And then you find out later on, oh, it's a wallet. And they could always buy ahead of me. And then they're like, but the rule of Google is like, no, but you need to write things of value. Why? You don't pay attention to it. You want me to feed your algorithm for whatever, but you're just an advertising agency. Go, bite me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I remember being able to write enough and know how Google worked so that you could get the top ranking for whatever you wanted. And I did that for ages. And now
it's going to change in a way that puts more money in their pockets.
Of course. But I think that's really the biggest barrier, if that's the right thing to say, for writers, is just exposure. If people find you and you've got something, but I will say this, I don't know if you'll agree with this concept or not. I do think you need to do more than a story. No matter how good the story is, you've got to do more than a story. You have to have something to give your readers an experience. And it comes back to that. There has to be an experience. So on Substack, you have an advantage because you not only have a story, but you can do this so people get to know you. They get to know your personality. Because I don't know about you, but the human in me says, well, I already like your writing, Scoot, but now that I watch you and I interact with you and you're one of my good friends, yeah, I like what you write even more. For some reason, it adds value to it, right?
No, it's real.
And so we need to help people to have that experience because, like you say, you meet these people like, why are you not more famous than you are? You're a great writer. What a wonderful person. Let me introduce you to my friends. That's what we're trying to do, right? Because there's no, gosh, would everyone please drop the whole competition BS? It's not a thing.
Yes,
if you're a writer, it's not a thing. And I have every right to look at another famous author and say, you're an ass. Stop being an ass. You're a good writer. What a butthead. If I were to say that.
Hypothetically.
And then there's other people that are famous that I would be, gosh, I wish they could and they're already making millions, so maybe they don't need to. But I'm just going, what nice people. I've always wanted to meet J.K. Rowling because it seems she seems to be a very nice woman. I have no clue. I've never even come remotely close to meeting her. But when I watch some of the things that she talks about, I've watched interviews with Stephen King. I've read lots of things on him that he seems to be a very kind man. Those things work to our advantage of making these connections. But you need to have something more than just a story. You need to have an experience. Right now, that experience just might be you. But, if you've got artwork, if you've got music, but help your readers have an experience.
Absolutely. So let me give you one more thought, and then I gotta jump off to go to work. So every single person who I know who is a diehard fan of an author is a diehard fan of the person, not only the writing. Like once they clue in, once they tap into whatever it is that appeals to them, they soak up everything about that person. I know someone, and I'm not gonna out them, but they know who they are. There's this author that they like. They found every speech and acceptance speech or award ceremony or interview and just listened to it and just absorbed it. And it's there's an element of wanting to write like this author and wanting to have the mindset and assimilate the mindset of this author. But it's also just the more you learn about the person, the more you like them.
Yeah.
Being able to be accessible to the people who want to support you is so important, and it's such a key part of this whole thing. Call it experience, call it access, call it whatever you like. It's you want to offer opportunities for people to get to know you.
Yeah.
And that's Substack offers so many different ways to do that. So yes. There's no one way to win, but there's if you run your mouth wrong, then there's 1,000 ways to lose.
Yeah. Depending upon what you say when you run your mouth, there's 1,000 ways to win too. No, I totally agree. I can think of two authors that I feel that way towards. One is Jim Butcher. My favorite fantasy is the Harry Dresden. I just love Harry Dresden. So Jim Butcher, but also I'm a huge Neil Gaiman fan. Huge. And it's just his ability to convey all of it is powerful. So I get it. Thank you for spending time. I don't want to make you late. So
yeah, thanks, Jamie. This is wonderful. We could probably talk for 2 hours if we had the time for it. So we'll have to do another one of these soon. If either this or Go Brunch, depending on when I get my laptop. So
yeah, well, we'll do if in between. We'll just make sure we'll keep updating on this because I think this is a good thing. I like starting my day this way because this is what I do for a living. So let's get you in a place that this is what you do for a living.
Absolutely. Hey, that's the dream, man. I appreciate it.
There you go. Well, I want to help. Thank you, everybody, for showing up, and I'll get this up and going. So
awesome. All right, good talking to you, Jamie. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.